That's right. He kept it real from the jump. He's our Longhorns insider. And yes, the Horns, they started from the bottom, but they bowl eligible now. And without further ado, we bring in, that's right, you can hear him. Weekdays, Monday through Friday, 2 to 4 p.m. on 1300 a.m. The Zone in Austin, Texas. Sean Adams, what's up, my man?
Man, I'm doing good. Hey, who thought we'd be here after they started?
I didn't. Jeff Blake didn't.
Steve Foster
left them for dead.
Yes,
and all
sir.
of a sudden now they've won 4 of 5, qualified for a bowl game. And how ironic might it be that they end up in the Houston Bowl playing Texas A&M?
You know what, Sean Adams? That would be the new creation of what you and I know in Austin, Texas, when Reagan played LBJ. That was the Soul Bowl. But if you have Kevin Sumlin and Charlie Strong, that could be the new college Soul Bowl right here in Houston, Texas.
Oh,
Yeah, I won't lie. I'm being selfish because, of course, I'm writing a book for the University of Texas Press chronicling Charlie Strong's first year. I need a good season. I need a good ending. Sad books don't sell. So I'm cheering now.
So
I'm not quite wearing burnt orange, but I'm cheering.
So beat TCU, get a good bowl bid, right? Finish with 7 wins, play Texas A&M in the bowl game, beat them, to finish with 8 wins, and then you can finish your book.
Yeah, and look, here's the great thing. You know, I'm teasing and stuff, but the great thing about it is you get the seniors out a good way. They go to another bowl game, and obviously you win 4 of 5 after starting 2 and 4. Obviously things are on the right track. Nobody really knows exactly how things are going to work out as a whole. But you look at this team and you say, hey, they're going in the right direction. It's obvious that this team cares about each other, have fun together. If you saw him body surfing with the team after they beat West Virginia, this team cares about each other. And if that's what if you had to go through all that hard stuff in order to get there, it was absolutely worth it.
Absolutely. We're talking with Sean Adams, our Longhorns insider. Sean, no one thought, we're here on ESPN San Antonio, and we heard, gotta say what facts are facts. That's what you deal with. And some people thought he was maybe a position coach. Some people thought that Manny Diaz was a better coach than him. You know what I'm saying? Now was that because they didn't get asked the question, or did they truly believe that this was a man that couldn't coach?
Well, look, let me tell you, that's one chapter in the book. But two, the one thing you have to understand about this thing is that people want things to go their way. And people want people want to be included in the conversation, people of affluence, people with money, people with connections. If you've seen the old show House of Cards that I love on Netflix, Kevin Spacey has a line that he says, some people are so close to power, lose themselves into thinking they have it. And in some cases, I think there was a mindset that there should be a whole lot of people making a decision on who should be the coach. And the weird part for me is that most people, even rich alumni that have a whole lot to say, they would never run a business that way. The way they've been successful in business is by hiring great people and letting them do their job. But somehow in sports, they decide that, no, I want to have my hands and my tentacles on everything. And that's not the way success is had. And Steve Patterson made his decision. And I think that's a poignant point that nobody wants to talk about. Steve Patterson made a decision and kind of said, this is the decision I'm going with, come what may. I didn't talk to nobody. They hired me to be the athletic director, and this is the decision I'm making. And look, we saw this in the end with Mac Brown. If things go south and you don't have a whole lot of allies, you don't have anybody on your side. And I don't know that Steve Patterson had a whole lot of allies before. I think he's got them now because I think most people understood he made a really, really good decision in hiring Charlie Strong.
We're talking with Sean Adams, our Longhorn insider. You can hear him every weekday, Monday through Friday, 2 to 4 p.m., The Adams Theory on AM 1300, The Zone up in Austin, Texas. And that's a great point. Does Steve Patterson now wield a lot more leverage and power than he did at the beginning of this season?
Yeah, I think he has to because there is an appreciation for the fact that he stood on a wall. And look, you guys know this from your lives every day. If you have to make a command decision and it's Bill Parcells and he says, hey, if I'm going to be responsible still you got to pick the groceries. Look, if I'm Steve Patterson, I come in, okay, so you're going to make me accountable for this hire, and you're going to make me accountable for managing this program, but you're going to make the hire? I don't think so. And there's a respect that's given to a guy that's willing to stand on the wall, be his own man, and that's what Steve Patterson essentially did. And I think most people that know him and know about him, that's to be expected. And I don't know that he's not rubbing some people the wrong way still, because he's very close. He's the guy, he's the boss that walks into the office every day, and you don't know what he's doing. But he knows what he's doing, and everything he's done so far has been pretty good.
Absolutely. And I think TCU, given the fact that the University of Texas has 10 days to prepare, they're back home, they went into Stillwater, and with the Bedlam series and just the advantages that Oklahoma State has at home, 28-7 is highly impressive.
Yeah, I think it's highly impressive because of the way that it was done and the yardage that was given up on defense and the way they battled through the cold weather. And in the postgame, Charlie Strong talked about, hey, I told these offensive linemen, dude, go take these sleeves off. We don't need this stuff. We're okay. And there is a trickle-down effect in management style and in leadership style and how they take care of themselves, and it's bled down into the team. And I think most people understand right now, and I said this, I think we talked about this earlier in the year, that West Virginia, Oklahoma State, and TCU were going to wish that they played Texas early in the season.
Yeah. Let me give you a quote from Vince Lombardi, and this, to me, goes directly to Coach Charlie Strong. He says, there is only one kind of discipline, and that is the perfect discipline. As a leader, you must enforce and maintain that discipline. Otherwise, you will fail at your job. That's Charlie Strong. He has never wavered from exactly what his discipline is for this team. And they continue along that line, and it is paying off in spades.
Yeah, that's the thing, too. Again, I go back to the body surfing last week, the fun that he has with his players. And I'll go back to San Antonio a couple years ago when Texas beat Oregon State in the Alamo Bowl. And in the postgame, Major Applewhite, who's a quarterback coach at the time, was talking about the fact that the University of Texas players had become comfortable. And in that bowl practice week, they had to push them and force them to be uncomfortable. And I think that's a lot of what happened to Texas at first with Charlie Strong. He forced them to be uncomfortable. He pushed them outside of the box. He pushed buttons that hadn't been pushed before. But I think if you see the way they are right now and the way they celebrate with each other and the way the players feel about Coach Strong, I mean, Quandre Diggs straight up said at the press conference a few weeks ago, well, people have to give Charlie Strong time, and this was before West Virginia. He said people have to give Charlie Strong time. He didn't come into something that was great. He came into something that needed fixing. And even the honesty of the players right now is something that's appreciable, at least for me, to see them and the way they react and the way they're moving forward.
Absolutely. Go ahead, Jeff Blake.
Yeah, Sean Adams. The two things I see that, that's really impressed me the last couple of weeks with the University of Texas. One, their defense. The defense each week has gotten better. They've gotten more tougher. They don't miss tackles anymore. They hit. They made the open field tackle. They're hitting the gaps. They're putting they're getting pressure in the backfield, and then also the running game.
Yeah, they're physical. And look, let's be honest. How many times over the last 15 years, you can count on one hand, you can say, ooh, 04 was physical. Ooh, 05 was physical. You can even throw 06 in there because they still had Justin Blaylock, Casey Studdard, and Lau Sinline up front. But you can pick out those times, but you can also pick out the time when they were soft, when they didn't make the open field tackles, when they didn't have.
We talked a lot about that last year.
that changed momentum in games. They just didn't have it. Right. And now they do. So, Jeff, when you bring all that stuff up, I think all that stuff is systemic. There is an expectation. And, if you got kids, and, Jeff, you have kids, and you have grown kids older than mine, if you'd be surprised at what kids can accomplish if you give them great expectations. And then not only that, you give them resources to achieve them, you'd be surprised at what young people can do. And that's one of the things I like about what's going on right now.
Well played. So, TCU, I think if I'm Gary Patterson, I'm very concerned about the leader of the Texas Longhorns, who now has the remaining group of this 2014 Texas Longhorn team drinking the Kool-Aid, believing it, living it, and doing it. And right now they watch that Kansas film, and they go, ooh, they better get it right, because on the 11th day, I don't know what happened, but God may see a victory for the Longhorns and not the Horned Frogs.
Yeah, and the hard part is, Kansas playing hard. They're playing for their new coach, Clint Bowen. They want him to get the interim tag taken off. But TCU went up there, and it looked like they got lazy. It looked like they didn't prepare, and it looked like they weren't mentally ready to play. Yeah. I think they'll be ready to play versus Texas, and I think TCU has a good defense. I'm not 100% sold on them. My producer, who I thought was high at the time, he said he would bet me a mortgage payment that he told me this on Thursday, said he bet me a mortgage payment that TCU was good enough to go out and beat Alabama. And I was like, dude, I don't know who you're looking at. I think they're a good team in the Big 12 right now, but I'm not sure that I still pick Baylor to win the conference. So I like who TCU is. I think they're well coached. I think they have flaws just like every other team in the Big 12. I'm not the guy that thinks there's a great team in the Big 12 right now. I think Alabama would beat a hole in every team in it. So I think there's a chance that the University of Texas could go out playing at home, and I have a sneaky suspicion that there will be a fantastic crowd on Thanksgiving night at DKR, Texas Memorial Stadium, because I think there's an appreciation for the work that has been done by Charlie Strong and his staff and those leaders and those seniors for this Texas Longhorn football team.
Sean, this is Jeff Blake. One quick thing before you get out. I have a quick question. On your 14 playoff teams, college playoff teams, give me your 4 college playoff teams. Do you think Baylor should be in that top 4? And do you think a one-loss Mississippi State should still be in there?
The hard part for me is I said if Mississippi State got blown out, they shouldn't be in there. But I'll tell you this. It was
a close game.
If I had to pick the game between Mississippi State and Baylor right now, I'd probably make Mississippi State a 3-point favorite. But if I had to pick my teams right now, I'd pick Florida State number 1 because they're still undefeated. I would take Alabama at number 2. I would take probably Oregon at number 3. And I probably would take Mississippi State at number 4 because they have the body of work. I'm sorry, people want to mess with me all the time about Baylor. They have no body of work, and they don't plan on it. Their next 5 years is a constant rotation of UTSA, Lamar, Rice, SMU. You get nothing from me.
Yeah, and I was just telling somebody, Alabama, the last 3 weeks, they played LSU. They played Mississippi State.
And Auburn, right?
And no, they haven't played Auburn yet. But they will play, and they play Auburn next week.
Right.
So, right, guys, and here's the point on that. And I'm not trying to bang on them because that's what they decided to do. They set the bar really high. And Art Briles even said at Big 12 Media Days, hey, if you go undefeated in the Big 12, you should go. Yeah, but if you have to go undefeated. Now that they've lost one, you have no street cred because of the rest of your non-conference schedule. While if you look around, what's the University of Texas and Oklahoma? They're all scheduling Tennessee and USC and Notre Dame and Cal. They're scheduling real teams with real pulses.
Right.
And I don't think Baylor deserves to be there. So they gotta get out of that. And in the next 5 years, their schedules are locked. They better start paying some buyouts and getting some real teams on their schedule.
Yeah, they got the money now, and they got the notoriety. People are going to come to expect that, Sean Adams. You don't want to see a heavyweight guy fight cream puffs. You don't want to see strong teams play against cream puffs. That's not competition. That's a guaranteed win or an upset alert, but that doesn't advance the competition of a sport.
And I get it while you're trying to build your program, but the program is built now. Get some real teams on a schedule.
I'm with you. Sean, how can we follow you on Twitter?
Hey, at that Sean, THTSEAN, and, of course, the show every day on the M1300 The Zone. You can even go on the iHeartRadio app.
Appreciate you, man. Hopefully we can see you. If we stay around, we can catch you in the stadium on Thanksgiving night, right?
Hey, do that. I'll be in there.
Okay, man. We appreciate it. Thanks for your time. Have a great week.
Be easy.
All right. There it is. He said it better than anybody else there, and I am so happy for Coach Charlie Strong, his crew, and his team. They fought hard and doing well, and others will get noticed as well. But that's our Longhorn Insider. So, listen, we're going to come back real quick, get those shout-outs to you. It's our final segment before we end hour 2. We'll have another half hour with one of my favorite guys to talk to, former NFL head coach Sam Rutigliano, as the Texans gear up to play the Browns. All this and more. Stay with us right here on Laying Down the Law.